Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Data Structures and Algorithm in Python course. In today's lecture, we'll be exploring about how to find maximum and how to find minimum in an array. So let's start. Let's start with our first question. The first question is uh, telling us to find maximum and minimum element of an array. So here in this array, what is the maximum element? You can see the maximum element is, so max equals to 72, right? And what is the minimum? Mean equals to minus 37, right? Now, how to write the program for this? Now, how to find the maximum element? First, let's discuss about that. To do that, what do we have to do? First, let's copy this and paste this here. Now, to find maximum, first let's talk about maximum. Let's say we assume that the first element of that array is the maximum, right? Let's say max equals to this 45. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to iterate from this element, from 1 index number 1 till n minus 1. Okay, from index number 1 to n minus 1. Then we'll be searching. So we'll be first going to index number 1, then we'll compare the value. So if we found this value at this current index, this value is greater than 45, greater than the max value, then we'll be modify the max value. Let's say, let's in the first iteration, we have gone to this first index. So index number 1, and we have seen that the value is 22. Now what is the maximum here? So value stored in the maximum is 45. So is this element, is this ARR of I, is this ARR of I greater than max? If it is true, then we'll update max by ARR of I. So this is the logic. This is the simple logic. First, we'll go to this index. First, we'll go to index number 1. Then we'll check if this element is greater than maximum or not. So if it is greater than max value, so initially max value is at index number 0. That if it is greater than this, then we'll update this max value. So you can see the current index is 1. So is 22 greater than 45? No, right? So we will not update this max value. Then we'll be go to this index. So is this 12 greater than 45? No, right? Then we'll be go to this index. Is this greater than 45? No, right? Okay, then we go to this index. Is this 5 is greater than 45? No, right? Okay, then we'll go to this index. Is minus 2 greater than max? No, right? Then we'll go to this index. Now, is 72 greater than 45? Yes. Then we'll update this max by 72. Right? This is how we approach this problem. So let's code it. So let's assume a array ARR equals to let's say 45, 22, then let's say minus 3, then let's say 56, then 12, then 73, then minus 15, then minus 34. Okay, now let's create a function def uh, find max. Okay, so what it will take, it will take the array. So first we'll be uh, taking a variable called max and put the first initial element at index number 0. So the first max will be ARR of 0. Then we'll run a for loop for I in range. So what will be the range? Range will be after this 0, right? So range will be start from 1 and it will goes up to n minus 1. That's why we just put n. Okay, what is this n? Let's say n equals to error of, okay, length of error. Okay, now, okay, we are iterating this for loop. Now every time we will if check if the current element error of I is greater than max, whatever store in the maximum, then what we'll do, we'll update this max to error of I. Okay, then at last we'll be returning this max. Okay, now let's call this function. Let's raise or max value equals to, say, find max, and put this array. And at last let's print this out, print max val. Okay, now let's try to run this. Now I can see what is the maximum value here. Maximum value is 73, right? Now if we change this out, if we just make it to 156, now if we try to run this, so you can see the maximum value is 156. Okay, now how to find minimum? So similar to maximum, let's copy it out and make it duplicate. Okay, now to find minimum, let's assume, let's take a variable, let's say mean, let's say mean equals to, let's assume it will also be the first element, array of 0. Okay, so initial element is the minimum element. Now let's run a for loop from this to this. Okay, now every time we'll check. So first we'll be going at index number 1, then we'll check is 22, is 22. Okay, first let's say what we'll do, we'll this time we'll check for if error of I current element is less than minimum or not, because we are finding minimum element, right? If we find that current element is less than the minimum, then we'll update this min, right? So at the first, so when we add the index number 1, we'll check is 22 less than 45, is 22 less than 45? Yes, this is true, right? So then, so previously what was the minimum? So mean was 45, right? Mean was 45. Now at index number 1, when we are at this index, we found that 22 is less than 45. Then we'll modify this value, we'll modify this, and we'll change this value to 22, right? Then we'll be going to this index, then we'll check for same thing at index number 2. What will be the condition? Is 12 less than mean? Now what is the value of mean? Mean is updated to 22. Now is this true? Condition is true. Yes, true. Then we'll update this value to 12, right? Then we'll move to this index. Now at 3, what we'll check? We'll check is minus 37 less than, what is the minimum value? 12. Is minus 37 less than 12? Yes, it is true. Then we will update this. So the current mean will be minus 37, right? Now when we go to index number 4, so when we come to this element, what will happen? We'll be checking is 5 less than current minimum, like minus 37? This is false, right? So then if it is false, we'll not do anything, we'll not updating this. Then we'll move to this index. So now is minus 2 less than 37? Because 37 has not been updated, right? Minus 37 has not been updated. So at index number 5, is minus 2 less than 37? No, that is not true. That's why we'll not update again, right? Then we'll be coming to index number 6. Then we'll check is 72 less than minus 37? No, this is not true. Now, what will be the minimum value? Minimum value will be minus 37, right? That's how we'll do it. So let's go to our VS Code and let's write a function for def find min, and it will take array. Then we'll do same thing, n equals to len of arr. Then let's take mean equals to, let's assume the first element as minimum value. Then we'll run a for loop for I in range. Range will be starting from 1, it will go up to n. Then if, now the condition will be changed. Previously it was greater than, now it will be less than. If error of I is less than mean, then we'll update this. Mean equals to error of I. And at last will be return this minimum value. So we are returning after this for loop, right? Now instead of find max, if we write find mean and here just mean, sorry, and here will be mean. Okay, now try to run this code. I can see the lowest element is minus 34. Here you can see. So that's how we find maximum and minimum in an array. Now let's see what is our next problem. The next problem is about to find kth smallest or kth largest element in an unsorted array. So what does this k means? So here array given. So if I ask you to find the maximum element of it, you will immediately say that the 72 is the maximum element. And what is the minimum? Minimum will be minus 37, right? But if I tell you to find the second largest element, what it will be? It will be 45, right? Because 72 is the first largest, then second largest will be 45. Then what will be the third largest? Third largest will be 22, right? Then what will be the n largest? So that is the formula. That is how we find kth smallest and kth largest element. Similarly, for smallest element, so what will be the first smallest element? It will be minus 37. Then what will be the second smallest element? It will be minus 2. And what will be the third smallest element? It will be 5, and it will be so on. Now let's see how we can approach this problem. Let's copy this array and just paste it here. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. So if I tell you to find first maximum, what it will be? You will be iterate over this array, right? You'll be iterating over this array, and you'll find that this 72 is the largest element in this array. Okay, first largest element in this array. Now if I tell you to find the second largest element, then what you will do? Similarly, you will search for this, go for this, go for this, go for this. Again you will find that this is the maximum value, right? So this will be 72. This will be the maximum value, but we don't want 72 again, because 72 is the first maximum. Then what will be the second maximum? How to find it? To find it, somehow we have to ignore this thing, right? You have to ignore the first maximum, then only we can find the second maximum for this. So if we forget this 72, then what will we do? We'll search for this 42, this and this. Then we'll get this 42 is the maximum, right? Then when we try to find third maximum, then what we'll do? Will be ignore this 45, right? Then we'll find that this 42, this 22 is the third largest element. This 22 is the third largest element. But the problem here is that how to ignore them? how to ignore them. Let's see how we can approach this. So let's paste the array here. Okay, let's see. I ask you to find second maximum. So first, what we have to do? So the approach will be like, so first you have to find the first maximum. To find second maximum, first you have to find first maximum, then we'll be separating this. So to do that, first will be go from this array, right? This element, then we'll go to this element, go to this, go to this, go to this, go to this, and go to this. Then we'll find that this element at this index is the maximum, right? Now, similar to previous problem, what we'll do will be storing the maximum element in a variable. But here is the difference is that in spite of let's say maximum, okay, so previously what we have done, we have just taken the first element as the maximum, okay, 0th index. Then what we have to do, every time we find the maximum value we have to update it, right? If we find 55, then we have to update it. If we find 75, then we have to update it. But here in this problem, in spite of just storing the value, we'll be storing the index. What is the index of this maximum value, right? So first we'll be going to this element, right? So we'll be storing this maximum as 0. So we'll be considering this. Then we'll be going to this element, right? Then we'll check is the element, so is ARR of max, ARR of max uh, is less than ARR of I or not. Means if ARR of I is greater than ARR of max, then we'll update this max by I. So here we come to 1, index number 1. So is 22 greater than 45? No, right? Then we'll go to this. Is 12 greater than 45? No, right? So we'll be going to this index, this index, this index, and this index, right? So when we come to this index, so we'll find that this 72 is greater than 45, right? So array at max 0, this is actually less than array of 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? 6. Then what we'll do, we'll update this 0 by 6. Now we are just updating this index, right? Now what is the maximum index? Maximum index is 6. So at index number 6, that value is maximum. Now we have to do one step to separate them. Now to separate them, what we have to do, we will be swapping this value with our first element, means what do I mean? Means we'll be swapping these two values. If we swap this two value, swap this two value, then 72 will be come here and 45 will be goes at last, right? Now we have separate this thing. Now we can forget this part. Now we can forget this part because this is sorted, right? Now to find the second maximum, we can iterate over this because the first maximum is sorted. The first maximum is on the left hand side. Now we'll do the same thing. So we'll be considering element. Let's say we'll be starting from this, right? So what will be the max? Then the max will be 1, right? Index number 1. Then we'll be searching for this, iterate over this, and this. Then what will be the maximum value? Maximum will be 45. Then what will be the index of the maximum? It will be 6. It will be 6, right? Because 42 is the second maximum. Now What we have to do? We have to swap between them. 42 by 22. And so we'll be swapping this to value. Swapping this to value. Right? Now 42 is separated from this entire array. Now we can forget the left hand side. Then we can do the same operation for the remaining part. So this is how we can find this. Now if I tell you to find second maxima, then I can easily tell you the second maximum is nothing but, so second maximum is nothing but error of 1. Error of 1. So now tell me, if k equals to 4, then what will be the maximum? So we'll be doing this operation for 4 times. We have to do this operation for 4 times. Then the element at index number 3, the element at index number 3 will be the kth max. Right? Now what is the catch here? Catch is to, we have to perform the same operation. We have to perform the same operation for k times. We have to perform the, here I have to find the second maximum. Then I have to perform the same operation for twice. Now if I have to perform the same operation for k times, if I have to find the kth maximum, then I have to perform this operation for k times. Then the element at k minus 1, the element at k minus 1 will be the maximum. So if it is second maximum, then element at 2 minus 1 means 1 will be the maximum, right? Kth maximum. Now let's see how we can code it. So let's take this array. Let's create a function def. Let's name it find kth max. Okay. Now what it will take? It will take an array and n size of the array and k. Okay. So first what we will do will be running a for loop, right? And how many times we have to perform this operation? How many times we have to perform this operation? We have to perform k times, right? So we'll be running a for loop. For let's say j equals to, or j in range. We have to do this for kth time. So I've written this. Now after this, what I have to do? I have to do the main operation. First, I have to consider the maximum value. Let's say max equals to, now we don't have to take the element, rather we have to take the index. So let's say the current index is j, right? Because j will be starting from 0 to k minus 1. That's why we just take the maximum as j. Now we'll run a for loop. For, we'll take a variable I in range. What will be the range of I? Range will be start from j plus 1. It will be from j plus 1. So here, if we consider this is for first time, so what will be the, if we take this as a maximum, if we take max as the first element, then we have to iterate over this starting from I equals to 1 to n minus 1, right? I will be from 1 to n minus 1. Means whatever we have taken, we have to add 1, then up to n minus 1. So it will be goes from j plus 1 to n because n is excluded. Then what we'll do, we'll be checking same if error of I is greater than error of max, because max is index. Then what we'll do, we'll change this max, we'll update this max to I, right? So this is the operation. And after this loop is executed, this for loop is executed, we'll be swapping these values, swapping with I and maximum value. We'll be swapping this two value. So after this, we'll be doing error of j. So here we have taken j with error of max equals to error of max and error of j. Okay. Now let's return. We have to return which element? The element at k minus 1. Now let's n equals to len of error, and let's say k equals to 2. Now let's execute this. Let's find the raise equals to find kth max and put error, then in, then k. So we have to find second maximum, right? Now let's try to run this code. Okay, we have to print it out. Print raise. Now let's try to run this. So 73 is the second maximum. So first maximum is 156 and second maximum is 73. And what will be the third maximum? It will be 45, right? If we put 3 here and try to run this, you can see the third maximum is 45. Now let's find out kth minima. So it will be like same. Find kth minima, min error n k. Okay. Now similar to kth maxima, what we have to do? First we have to find the minimum element, and whenever we find the minimum element, we'll be swapping this value between a mean to j, right? So let's say for j in range, it will be also k. Then we have to consider mean equals to j. So every time, so for the first time j will be 0, then for the second time j will be 1, then j will be 3, j will be 2, j will be 4, like this up to k, right? So now let's write for I in range, and it will also be from j plus 1 to n. Then if error of I is less than error of mean, then we'll be updating this mean equals to I, right? Now when the for loop is executed, we'll be swapping this to value. So we'll be doing error of error of j, swapping with error of mean, then error of mean, error of j, right? Then at last we'll be returning error of k minus 1. Okay. Now let's comment it out. Let's and kth mean. Okay. Now if we find the first minima, okay, now let's try to run this. You can see the first minima is minus 34, right? Then what will be the second minima? It will be minus 15, right? So if we change this k, so and try to run this, you can see this is minus 15. So what will be the third minima? It will nothing but minus 3, right? You can see minus 3. And what will be the fourth? Fourth will be 12, right? Yes, 12. Now here are some edge cases here, so that we'll discuss in the further videos. So means you can't write this k as let's say 20 or 24, because the length of the array is, here length of the array is 8, right? So you can't write k beyond this length of the array. So that is the one is cases for here. So I hope now you have understood how to find kth maxima and how to find kth minima. So that's it for today's lecture. See you in the next video. Thank you.